All right, Nick, coming in a little early. A little late night Reds. Huge at bat. Jury up. Reds lead 4-3. Ian Jabot just came in the game. And we're relatively close to synced up.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh my God, Matt McClain. What a pick by Votto. Holy crap. That was a great pick by Votto.
It was a great pick by Votto. And I mean, that's just where the shift is wild.
Wow.
And that's just a routine ground ball to shortstop, and they must have been shifted way over.
Wow. Wow. That was a great pick. That was not an easy one at all.
John,
All right.
I don't know about that, to be fair to you. John, I don't know about that.
Might be better at like those kind of scoops. I don't know if like the lateral movement though, there might be kind of a little bit of both there.
It's 39. I'm just saying I don't know about that yet. I mean, it just seems like it's early to make that call.
Yeah.
I think Votto's been overall pretty damn good defensively throughout his career. I don't even know what the I guess the fan graphs of the world, the analytics of the world say about Votto's defense over the course of his career, but he's been decent.
It's wild. He's had some like great years and some really terrible years. Like it has been like it's been like a roller coaster throughout. But Trace, one thing I do know. I know that we need likes.
We do
I
need
know
likes.
that we need some likes to finish this
We
off.
do need likes.
Get a big dub to start the road trip.
This is as close to a must win as we can get, guys. As close to a must win as we can get. What's going on, Mark? Anna saying she doesn't always love the shift, but that's a discussion for another day. Well, you don't have to bash away from that. I don't know if I love the shift as much as it's used. I think the reason that I don't love the shift as much is because it feels like obviously statistically I'm sure there's an advantage. It's the reason they do it, and I would argue that the advantage isn't an ungodly amount different. The only reason that I don't love the shift a lot of times is because, the positions are played in a traditional sense of for a specific reason. And if you give up a line drive up the middle per se, it feels okay. It feels like you deserve to give up a hit. If you give up like a little seeing eye ground ball through a hole that doesn't deserve to ever be there, then it feels extra gross. Not maybe the perfect reason as to why you don't love shifts. And when I say I don't love shifts, I mean, obviously, fading guys is one thing. I'm talking a routine ground ball right there. I don't know, man. Made it look a lot harder. But you know what? They made the play, Nick. So we move on. Just like Ellie, those little bouncing ball to first base. We just move on.
What I would say is the shifts were so effective they changed the rules of Major League Baseball. So I think that they have some importance.
They did, yes.
This guy stinks. Let's get some add-ons.
Boy, we could use some
TJ
add-ons.
Hopkins action. Let's go. Can you believe they did Henry that dirty?
Ramos. I don't know.
Made the guy hitting some huge spots in the DFA of 2 days later.
Well, I think that just goes to show you why everybody was so pissed.
Carl said, "I believed in you, Henry."
Come on, bro.
Yeah, that was rough. Oh, hurry back, Stu.
This
Gosh.
I mean, that's not even close.
Off a guy with the 5 ERA.
Yeah. Dude, Stevenson. You might beat that out.
Oh.
What a lost cause. Bunt hit TJ Friedel right here.
That's a good call. That would be huge. Get McLean a shot.
Yeah.
Either make the Angels use another pitcher or get McLean an at bat against a lefty.
Just feel it. Just lefty on lefty. I was a lefty myself. It's not easy to hit lefties.
Yep,
Just
there it is. I wish there would have Moose out there trying to make that play and throw it into the stands.
Oh shit, that's funny.
I
mean, I don't know what do you want from me?
Trace all over it.
Just
all
saying.
Over it. Just that baseball IQ.
That's hilarious.
Can't teach it. You can't teach it.
No, you just I had a feeling he was going to do that. You don't really like, sometimes when you get up there as a lefty and a lefty's throwing, you're like, you know what? I think it's a lot easier to probably bunt for a hit than it is to try to hit what I just seen.
Well,
that didn't work, did it? No, it was a good while it lasted. Damn, Matt. Now you hit a
Alexis.
Homer. He's frustrated. McLean's frustrated. Oh, boy. Here we go.
Moustakas is up first. Oh.
Well, this is the season.
I mean, the season.
That's how I feel, man.
Season.
It's the season, dog. This is it. I mean, does it mean we don't have anything else to watch? Does it mean we have nothing else to root for?
Nope.
Of course it doesn't.
Cancel it. Call it off.
This is it, though. I mean, let's face the facts. This is the season. Did the Cubs end up coming back and winning, or did they lose?
Sure as hell didn't.
All right.
Reds still wouldn't hold a playoff spot, though, but they'll be like a half game within 2.
I don't care.
It's
I don't care. It's
getting wild out in the wild card.
Michael Ackley says like the stream. Says like the stream, boys. Let's go. Prayers up for Diaz, says Andrew. I like all those. All those sentiments ring true. This all seems true. Alex says there's 5 teams for 2 spots. That's what's difficult about that wild card slot, man. It is just a jam-packed race.
Yep.
Miami's beating the Padres 3-0.
You know, Bally, show a little respect here. Have a little.
What's that?
Have a little feel. Putting out a Jeff Weiler ad right before Moustakas comes up in the 9th. I mean,
that actually might be good. That might be good, though, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like that's going against where he was from. Tell you what, man, no free ads, but Jake Sweeney, they better be careful. I'm telling you, if Hunter Green were something bad were to happen to him and they miss on one more guy, they're hosed. They
stay the hell away from Ellie.
They can never get another guy. It's like the Madden
You can
curse.
test it on Tyler Stevenson at this point if you want.
Yeah, maybe it's the reverse. Maybe it's the reverse action. Moustakas of all guys. Guy's a good hitter, though. I mean, he's a good little hitter.
Everywhere except in Cincinnati.
Yeah, good little hitter.
Pump him in there.
Little spinning slider. It's one of those sliders that like just goes right past the back foot.
Ooh, it's a good pitch. Yeah.
That's the one I thought would get him right there, and it didn't.
All right, I gotta put the chat away. Sorry, guys.
Oh, the chat will they'll spoil you. So
Yeah.
although sometimes when they bring you good news, it feels good inside. It gives you a little bit of hope.
Sit down, Moose. Nice cut, big boy.
Yeah, Meals on Wheels. Back to the dugout, brother. We paid him enough for that. Gosh, Diaz just got a whole bunch of stuff coming at you when he's pitching, dude. He's got elbows, asses, arms, legs. They're just flying everywhere. This umpire. All right, I don't want to jinx this umpire, but he's been elite tonight.
Yeah?
He
I
has
do
been.
not remember a single bad call all night. That means you're doing your job. If I don't remember. Yeah.
Nice pitch. Oh.
Foul, foul, foul.
I could hit him right in the little elbow thing. You said foul.
I just heard
Sadak
it.
said it was a ton of ricochet, which it might have just been the fact that it hit that elbow guard.
Yeah. It was loud.
It was loud. I don't think that hit anything other than that big old elbow guard.
No, yeah, I was even close to the bat. It's all that red on red.
That hurts. That stinks. 6 steals and 8 tries. I venture to say that if we get one more out, he's still on first. He'll be running. He might run now. Nice pitch. Yes, Tyler.
Tyler Stevenson.
Let's go, Stevenson. Who is this guy? You blind squirrel, you. They want to check it, dude. If he's safe on some bull. God, the ball beat him and everything, man. Just tell me he tags him, Nick. Tell me he tags him. No, dude. I think he might have missed him, dude. He got him. Did he get him in time? It's really close, Nick. That's got to be a stance. Nick, talk me into it. Talk me into it, please.
They don't. I don't want. I've yet to see
inside
a definitive
of his leg,
angle
right there. Like he catches his pant leg, barely.
I have yet to see anything definitive.
Right there. God, I don't know, man.
How did he not pop off that bag? That was incredible that he stayed on the bag. Give him some credit for that. I mean, they might have another camera angle. That's the only thing. There's no way you can overturn it on those camera angles. I'm going to go and put the runner on here just to not jinx anything.
I just don't know if he got the inside of his... Yeah, like the inside of his knee. Thank you. That was a hell of a point by Chris. Stands, please. Thank you, Nick. God, we deserved it.
Call stands. The two best words in sports.
It felt like that's what it should have been, but you just never know. Oh, this is a good angle.
There's just nothing. There's nothing definitive.
No, and I definitely think he actually did tag him. At first, I didn't know if he got him at all. Wow, what a throw. Come on, Alexis, finish this guy, man. Lee, don't make it easy, brother. Don't make it easy.
That's 65, Trace. That's 65.
Let's do a show. 65. We're one step closer. One step closer. When we needed it the most, they came through, baby.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the world. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did. He did. Reds win. Line to the right field. Genius. The first run ever. With 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Nick, when all the chips were out in the middle, the season was on the line, Alexis Diaz comes out and does what Alexis Diaz does, and he shuts the door with a little bit of help from Tyler Stevenson. By God, if I'm going to crush him and rip that man down, I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. Shout out to Tyler Stevenson for making one hell of a throw. Reds win 4-3 against the Los Angeles Angels, led by Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, but they really weren't led today by those two. But nonetheless, Nick, this was going to feel like an absolute abysmal loss if we stayed up this late, had to do a show after a blown save. So thank the Lord for Tyler Stevenson and Alexis Diaz.
Yeah, what a big-time win to start the toughest road trip remaining of the entire season. We've said it many times. This is probably going to determine whether the Reds are in the race into September or not. And the Reds got it started with a huge win, down a couple runs, another comeback win. Just a big-time win for the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, and another thing, Derby Stardom brings us up in the chat really fast, and I'm sure many others have as well. Here's the thing. Graham Ashcraft deserved to win. He deserved one of these. I mean, I know that the whole wins and losses isn't really something that's really widely sought after anymore for pitchers, and it's not even really a metric that really anybody hardly uses anymore. But sometimes there's this moral, there's this psychological effect that goes with it. And I think that Graham Ashcraft should feel great about himself when he lays down to sleep tonight, because he gave his team a chance to win, and they did win. And I feel like even though it wouldn't have been anything to do with Graham Ashcraft, whether they won or lost in that last inning, I think his psychology or his psychic metric that when he goes out to make his next start will feel a little bit better than he did before, just because we held on and won when he pitched. So also seen that he uses some bath salts or some kind of, or maybe not bath salts, but some smelling salts, whatever term that is. Did you see that, Nick? Did you catch that on the broadcast?
I did not catch that. Tell me a little more.
Well, I just seen him doing the old, shake the can up, be a little careful how close you get to the old can, doing a little sniff. I don't know. Don't know what was in there to be sure. Maybe it was nothing, but perhaps he likes that kind of thing, which is fine. Graham Ashcraft's a guy I would not want to mess with if he wasn't happy with you, because he is an absolute bulldog, which I like. I don't know how many other people appreciate that about him, but one thing I know I'm getting out of Ashcraft, I know I'm getting a guy that's going to fight, and he's going to give it everything he's got no matter what. So, shout out, Doug.
Shout out. Ready for a box score recap?
I'm born ready. Smelling salts. Sorry, that's what it is. Box score recap, Nick. Take it away.
All right, first of 3 games in 2 days for the Reds in Anaheim against the Los Angeles Angels. Top of the first, Matt McLain, who was born and raised in Orange County, hit a 413-foot bomb in his first ever plate appearance at Angel Stadium off prize trade deadline acquisition Lucas Giolito. That made it 1-0 Reds. Elly De La Cruz then walked and stole second base. Elly became the first player to hit 10 home runs and steal 20 bases in his first 64 games in Major League history, surpassing Barry Bonds' record from 1986. Pretty decent player, I think. Spencer Steer was then hit by a pitch, but then Votto and CES struck out to end the threat in the first. Graham Ashcraft gave up 3 solo home runs to Brandon Drury, yuck, Mike Moustakas, double and triple yuck, and some guy named Logan O'Hop. And the Reds trailed 3-1 going into the top of the 5th. But we haven't seen a lot of the comeback Reds, but they were on full display tonight. Top of the 5th, Will Benson walked. After Tyler Stevenson struck out, TJ Friedel doubled. Should have been held to a single, but it was misplayed by the Angels right fielder Hunter Renfroe. McLain struck out, and then the Elly effect was in full display. Elly hit a grounder to Noah Shanuel, the player the Angels decided to call up after just 21 minor league games. He booted the ball, surely worried about Elly De La Cruz's speed. Reds tied the game as the 2 runners came around. Sear then smoked a ball at 100 miles per hour right past third baseman Mike Moustakas. Elly scored from first, probably the only player in the sport that would have been able to do so, and that made it 4-3 Reds, and that was more than enough for Graham Ashcraft. He dialed it in after that, retired the last 10 batters he faced, got through 7 innings, struck out a career-high 10 batters. Sam Moll and Ian Jabot got through the 8th, and then Alexis Diaz got through the 9th, thanks to Tyler Stevenson throwing out a runner after Diaz hit a batter, and the Reds win. Reds now 65-61. Reds will wake up on Wednesday morning a half game out of the second wild card spot, now in a crowded race, but the Reds are right back in the NL wild card race.
No doubt that they're right there, man. I mean, as much as this feels disgusting at times, and as much as it feels like this offense is paper thin, and you're again hoping and wishing and praying that we're going to get some guys back healthy, although we have some bad news, obviously, on Lodolo that we'll get into later. But in general, this offense has been predicated, as you have on the rundown, by speed and its ability to make havoc on the base pass. They've done that. They didn't really cash in a couple opportunities, if we're being quite frank. This was a chance in a game where if they were to have lost it, you would have looked back at 2 or 3 innings, whether that been at the Votto situation where he had a chance to drive some guys in and he struck out, and then CES struck out right behind him, and or later in the game where off the top of my head, I don't remember, but they had other guys in scoring position that they couldn't quite cash in on. And then next thing you know, you're looking back, I think Friedel wasn't able to get Benson in, and it just felt, again, like the same old, if we're being completely honest. I know they won, Nick, so it makes you feel a little bit better, but this offense is still struggling to find a way to get the big hit. And tonight you could argue, and again, I'm not here to be the pessimistic guy, of course, but you could make the argument that really outside of the Angels giving us the biggest gift of all, we would have also been in the same predicament we've been in, which is 2-3 runs fighting for our lives to see if we can't win a baseball game. And it's hard to win baseball games when you only score 2 and 3 runs. So shout out to that first baseman for getting a little too concerned about Ellie. I know Ellie's fast, but I don't think he's that fast, Nick, which is nice. That goes back to the whole stats thing, goes back to a little bit of the analytics. It's hard to say that was Ellie's run, but if you watch the game, I think that we could all agree the reason that guy rushed, the reason he made that mistake, the reason there was an error was because of Ellie's speed.
We've said it a million times. I mean, his speed has a cumulative effect. So sometimes when you see him maybe make a dumb, boneheaded play on the base pass, remember that play right there. People are so worried about him because he runs so recklessly on the base pass. It gets in players' head. They crap their pants. One thing we didn't mention, Trace, this was the Reds' first win in Anaheim since 2002. How about that?
How many? I mean, not to ask you off the top of your head because I'm sure you don't have it, but I'm like, how many chances did they have to win since 2002? It couldn't have been many.
They lost 7 straight.
Okay. Well, 7 straight is still bad, but it's not like 2002, man.
You won't be seeing that.
This is 2023. Like, I'm doing the math in my head. That's a long time, man.
Yeah, you won't be seeing as many of those type of things anymore with playing teams in their ballpark every other year. But
right.
Hey, nonetheless, it's a cool feat. It's a cool thing.
No doubt. It's an all-around team game. Everybody on this team made a play to give the Reds a chance to win. Listen, I see some folks in the chat that are obviously on Votto's side. They're not on Votto's side. Votto made a good defensive play at the end of the game that Steve points out. Mike points out, but Mike points out that Joey made a heck of a scoop on that ball, and he did. I mean, Joey Votto doesn't scoop that baseball at the end of the game. Who knows what happens? They might not win. So ultimately, this team I don't know how many times we got to say it, Nick, but don't let us get to where we're at right now in the standings in about 2 weeks from now. Don't let us do that. Yeah. Now, should we be there? Probably not. But I look at it, the Giants are kind of they're I'm not saying they're falling apart, but they're kind of falling apart. You got the Miami Marlins, who I would argue is probably, in my opinion, out of all the teams on that list, I think the Marlins are the worst team. I think they're the team that, I guess if every team that was fighting for a wild card spot all played 7-game series, I'm picking the Marlins to finish last, personally. Would you agree with that or disagree with that?
Probably that Arizona team's interesting because they've not looked at all like they looked in the first half. Probably could say the same thing about the Reds. Marlins got some good pitching, though. That's the thing that kind of scares me. I honestly think that Giants team, as much as I'm a huge Gabe Kapler fan and a fan of a lot of the things that they do, that team to me kind of feels like maybe the weakest because they're also dealing with a lot of injuries right now. I don't know if they'll be able to hold it. But really, I mean, when you're down to 5-6 weeks left in the season, it's who gets hot. I mean,
right.
The Reds won 12 in a row. All these other teams are probably capable of doing something like that. And if you have one of those stretches, that's going to determine it. So,
right.
When you're down, that's why, like, statistically speaking, are the Reds gonna make the playoffs? People ask me that. I go, probably not. But could the Reds get hot? Yeah, they're just capable of getting hot as any of these other teams.
Yeah. The expected win-loss record for based off runs scored and runs allowed is an interesting thing they've started to keep track on in the MLB standings. And the Reds are supposed to be 4 games below 500 based off of obviously the statistics that they're using. And the wild thing to me is that San Diego is supposed to be 70-57. That's why you play the games. Doesn't always add up the way that it's supposed to. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Reds 65-61, San Diego 60-67. So, I mean, I don't know I guess we are overachieving, but I'm to the point now where I think today I watched the first 2 innings of this game, and I've come to this conclusion. This season's been a success, a smashing success. I know that we've tried to hint around that before. We've tried to kind of, I don't want to say kind of toe ourselves around that point because you have people that are going to get very upset and say, well, you're just being a pushover because, you're looking at it from the standpoint of a loser's mentality and they need to win now. Of course, we want them to win now, but my gosh, like we have some really good young players, man. And like it's one of those things where when you watch them play, it's not I don't think it's a flash in the pan type stuff. I know that some will point out like, oh, look at Tyler Stevenson. You thought that he was going to be a franchise type player, and now look at him. I get that that's always an option. That's a possibility. But the way that Noelvi Marte looks at the plate, his comfortability at the plate, this young, this early, it's impressive, man. It's impressive. Now, will it pan out the way that I think it's going to? Maybe not. But I'm telling you, Nick, he looks incredibly comfortable at the plate.
Yeah, he just missed a home run down the right field line too tonight that won't show up in any box score. It turned on a pitch, and I could not believe he was able to take it the other way as well as he did. Just missed it. So yeah, I mean, he did strike out 3 times tonight, but got a hit.
I get that. But...
He's different than calling up Henry Ramos or TJ Hopkins or any of these guys. He feels a lot different. You can tell this guy is a bona fide top prospect. Even if he struggles, you can just see it a lot more with a guy like Noelvi Marte.
I have a question. Who do you think won this this game that was played tonight? It almost feels like it was a tie. You have the crowd that was screaming and yelling about making trades at the deadline with Giolito, and then you have the crowd that I feel like I was in, which is, hey, these guys are marginal pitchers at best. I'm not trading a bunch of guys to go out and get somebody that might not even be good for us. And then on top of that, even if they are good, we still might not make the postseason. It just seems like a bad idea. Who do you think won tonight? Do you think that was an even trade? Because he kind of threw the ball pretty well, but then they also gave up some runs. Who won that matchup, Nick?
We also have to throw in the wrench of Sam Mole also pitched in this game. Reds' big trade deadline acquisition. Struck out Eduardo Escobar. Mike Trout got an infield single, probably a ball, maybe should have been played. It was kind of in between. Not a great hit by Trout. And then he got Shohei Ohtani out. So Sam Mole pitched pretty well too. So I think overall you have to give the advantage just slightly to the Reds. I think Mole just pushes the Reds over the top.
Okay, fair enough. They're saying in the chat that Nick is a little louder than me, so I'll push myself up a little bit there. Maybe that'll fix the problem. I don't know. But here's a quick thought as we jump down into Ashcraft in the bullpen. I want to go to the bullpen first. We'll talk about Ashcraft second because I want to get to a quick little thought and a point that you may have interest in. David Bell went to, he did not go. He had an opportunity to go to a left-hander. The last out that was made was a pinch hitter. It was a left-hander that came up to the plate. Correct, Nick? I don't want to misspeak here, but nonetheless,
the last batter for Ashcraft.
Yes, and they allowed Ashcraft to stay in the game. It was an opportunity, in my opinion, where Bell could have come out. He could have let Mole and or Alex Young throw. He obviously decided to use Mole the following inning with Ohtani coming to the plate. But I don't know. I mean, it almost seemed like, was there a little bit of a tell there by David Bell in his trust and belief, not in Sam Mole, but I think he planned on using Sam Mole the next inning already in his head. Was that something towards Alex Young, or am I reading too much into that? Because you got to throw to 3 hitters. And I think that was also in David Bell's mind. It's like, listen, if he comes in and he loses the first guy, then we're in real trouble. So he just let Ashcraft kind of push through and didn't. I don't want to say he didn't trust Alex Young, but in a way, he just didn't trust him.
Well, the guy that brought in Luis Rendifo is a switch hitter, and actually it's lefties over 250 OPS points higher. So
beautiful. Well, that's good. Good to know. When he came up to the plate for me, Nick, he was left-handed.
Sam Mole came in, and the first batter was supposed to be that rookie lefty. They ended up pinch hitting, but you brought in a significantly lesser hitter in Escobar. Well, I mean, maybe. Who knows? This guy's played 5 big league games, but nonetheless,
sure, he's
batting leadoff, so I assume the Angels have some faith in the guy. And then Mike Trout actually has significantly, over the course of his career, significant reverse splits. He actually hits right-handed pitchers a lot better, and then Ohtani hits right-handed pitching a lot better. So that's a great spot to use your lefty in that spot. I think the most interesting thing was that David Bell went to Jabot against Brandon Drury. I thought that was interesting. I don't know if that was a tell on Sims. Sims did warm up in the game, so I don't think it was a case where, Sims was, something was barking, unless he got up and something was barking. We'll never know that. But I thought it was interesting that he went to Jabot over Sims or an Alexis Diaz 4-out save. But Jabot's been pitching really well, so I think that's part of it's probably a faith in Jabot as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jabot's been really, really good. This bullpen's been unbelievable. We say that every show. I don't know how many times we got to say it, but it just seems like if you don't say it, it's malpractice. I mean, how can you not bring up the bullpen when they come in every single game and don't even give up a damn run? It's like, it's one thing, Nick, that they've kind of held their own. It's another thing the way they've been pitching lately, where they just don't even give up runs. Come in the fifth or sixth inning, and they don't give up runs, and then there's outings where they don't even give up a hit. So. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about the bullpen outside of feeling like we're beating a dead horse a little bit with that one. But Graham Ashcraft, to jump back into him, of all the guys that we needed to come back and throw the ball well, we joke about how Williamson and guys like him and Kennedy and Luke Weaver. I know he obviously got picked up. Shout out to Luke Weaver. Good for him for the Mariners. Hopefully we get to see him throw here soon. But the maybe not hopefully. Yeah, that might be a bad thing. Maybe we don't want to see Luke Weaver throw. I just think here's the thing. Ashcraft, of all the names I just mentioned, was the one guy that we were concerned about halfway through the year, and he's been nails since he's come back, and he's gotten himself back underneath him, his footing back underneath him. It definitely feels like, if we're being completely honest, at least in my heart of hearts, it definitely feels like we're walking on thin ice right now. Like we got no margin for error. Nobody can get hurt. Guys got to start playing a little bit better. But overall, to harken back what I said earlier, what an unbelievable year, guys. I don't want to sound like this season's over. I don't want it to sound like I'm being like, too mushy, too soft. Unbelievable season. Unbelievable season. We have a great, great, great foundation ahead of us. No matter what happens, I'm telling you, Matt McLain and Ellie are your middle infielders for the foreseeable future. And those are the two of the best players, in my opinion. Those will be the two of the best players in all of Major League Baseball. All of Major League Baseball. And again, I think Noel Vey looks great. Will Benson might end up being a stud. We can go down the line. We do it every show. You get my point, Nick. I'm just going to say it one last time. Unbelievable season.
I got 3 points here. All right, so first one is on your overall point about how we're walking on thin ice. I think if Hunter Green comes out and shoves in his next start, I think that completely changes so much about the Cincinnati Reds going down the stretch. I think him coming out and getting shelled on Sunday, there's no question. And then the Lodolo news we'll get to in a minute. The combination of those two, that's as big of a gut punch as they have. But Hunter Green comes out and shoves this weekend. I think we're going to feel a lot better about things overall. Secondly, Graham Ashcraft, I career high 10 strikeouts. He's missing a lot more bats. And you can get away without striking out batters, but Graham Ashcraft was kind of at too low of a level early in the year. Even when he was having some of that success, he's really found a way to miss more bats. And I think that's taken him from a guy that maybe was a league average pitcher to a guy that can be a bona fide, I don't want to say ace. I think that's pushing it too far, but below that, right. I think he's there. And then I just ran the numbers here, Trace. Reds bullpen, last 5 games, 20 1/3 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 run, 5 walks, 18 strikeouts. That's just stupid.
It's getting it done. That's getting it done. You know who else got it done that we have not done yet, which we will do right now? I know that you probably have it primed and ready to go. And that is the deep drive of the day. The deep drive of the day. Matt McLain. I'm trying not to yell because I know that everyone in my house is sleeping. But Giolito had a little bit of a problem, didn't he? Had a little bit of a problem. Just so happened to be Matt McLain on the homecoming. Very first at bat. Back in his own backyard where he grew up. 10 miles away from back where he used to envision himself playing in that stadium. And Matt McLain hits a ball 105 miles an hour, 413 feet, 23 degrees off the bat, and it landed in the stands. 1-0 Reds. That is the Deep Drive, Deep South Commodities, Deep Fly of the game. Thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodity. And as always, DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil, collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thank you to our friends at Deep South Commodities, as always. Shout out to John and their crew. Here's the thing. As always, like the stream, go to deepsouthcommodities.com, give them a hit, come back, watch the show, enjoy yourself, maybe even drink a fine Pilsner if you have that in you. If you don't, that's okay too. Maybe drink you some water before you go to bed. Nick, next thing on the rundown here is some Reds news. This isn't really good news. It's not good news.
Yeah, so the big news of the day, just before the game started, Nick Lodolo endured a setback on August 20th during his rehab start at AAA Louisville. Didn't look completely right. Walked 3 batters in that start. Was hoping just it was command, but clearly it was something more. MRI revealed a reoccurrence of a stress reaction in his left tibia. He was sent for a second opinion, and the hope of having him active by the end of August now appears unlikely. That is via Mark Sheldon. So, I mean, let's be real. Lodolo's probably shut down for the year, barring a miracle, right?
He's done. Yeah. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Lodolo not coming back till next year. Yeah. I don't know. What do we plan to get out of him anyways? And I'm not trying to sound like a superly overly optimistic guy, but in general terms, I don't know if we expected to get a ton out of Lodolo this year. Maybe you could say that you were going to get a guy that was going to come in and be kind of like an opener type arm where he's going to throw 3 to 4 innings and he can kind of get himself back in the groove of things. And if we did make the postseason, then perhaps Lodolo is at full strength at that point. I don't know. I guess the more of the concern for me is less about this year and more about moving forward and what that looks like going into next year. And is this guy going to be injury prone throughout the rest of his career? Is he always going to have an issue of trying to get on the field? I guess this is part of the reason why the small market teams don't extend guys as soon as they start to look okay, huh, Nick? I guess if there's a blessing in disguise, doesn't mean that we should celebrate it by any means, but it is also we can at least admit that it's nice to know that we didn't, have a huge extension for Lodolo, and next thing you know, we're having troubles getting on the field. So, your quick thoughts, I guess, on Lodolo and how you felt about it when you heard the news?
Yeah, I mean, it stinks. I think for this year, more so than like what Lodolo could just bring to the Reds in terms of like taking over a spot and filling it. The thing that really stinks is now it puts a lot more pressure on Andrew Abbott and Brandon Williamson, because I think you could have used Lodolo coming back to maybe limit some of those guys. I mean, the Reds have some options. Brett Kennedy he's pitched really, really well. Now, granted, he could get absolutely shelled tomorrow and all that goes by the wayside, but he's pitched really well. Lyon Richardson has big league stuff. Can he find a way to harness that and get big league batters out? That's yet to be seen. I don't think Connor Phillips is a part of the equation anytime soon. I would be almost surprised at this point if he makes a start, more than one start. Maybe he makes like one, filler start or something. But I just don't see him getting a part of the equation. He just has walked too many batters. But then you're also, you have to hope Ben Lively can kind of get some of that magic back. I know he hasn't looked good in his last couple rehab starts coming back, but he pitched really well at times. So it's going to be a mix and match. There's a lot of off days in September, though.
Right.
So you can manipulate it a little bit, but you're also manipulating it with pitchers that probably also need those off days. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. That's why it's what Hunter Green does. I think he's going to pitch Friday. That's just huge for the Reds. I mean, you need Hunter Green to be Hunter Green. Yeah. And it's not fair to him. Not fair to him right now, but
no, I mean, it is what it is. You get the ball in a major league stadium, you're expected to go out and perform. It doesn't matter where you're at before or what the circumstances are. That's professional sports. I know that's easier said than done, but That's how I feel about it. I know that people are like, well, Hunter Green might not be healthy. He's healthy. Okay, he's healthy. He wouldn't be out there if he wasn't healthy. He had a bad start. That happens, I guess. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Hunter Green and say that he's hurt or something's wrong or blah blah blah. It's like, well, some days you just have a bad day at the office, and let's just hope it was a coincidence that his bad day at the office was just so happened to be his first time out in a long, long time, and it wasn't something that is actually concerning, which is, he's not the same as he was before he went on the rehab stint there. So Michael Rolfe really quick says, hot takes. I got one. Ashcraft is a staff ace. 2, Senzel had a disagreement in the clubhouse that landed him in the doghouse. And 3, Seabox Sports equals Greek god status. I don't know about 3. That's probably not the truth. Number 2, I don't know. I'd actually put a little bit of stock into that. Senzel did seem like that was a little weird situation that went on there. I don't know. Who knows? And then number 1, believe it or not, I know you might not believe this, Michael, but at the beginning of the year, I think I said that I thought Ashcraft was the best out of the 3 of them. However, when Ashcraft went through his little slump, it made me feel like I was an idiot, and then all of a sudden now I don't look like such an idiot anymore. Who knows? At this point, it's a guessing game. It's a guessing game. Keeping it as a kid's show, but it's a guessing game.
One more point on Lodolo. You have to look, obviously, the long-term, man, it's really concerning at this point. It's been just injury after injury after injury. You have to hope maybe he's a guy like Zach Wheeler is the guy that always comes to mind. That, man, early in that guy's career, it was nothing but this guy could never stay healthy. He signed like a $100 million contract, which seemed risky at the time and ended up being like an absolute steal for the Phillies because he has stayed relatively healthy and has been able to overcome that. You have to hope like that's the kind of situation with Lodolo, that just a whole bunch early in his career and he can find a way to stay healthy. But to say I'm not concerned would be a complete lie. The Senzel one, that was actually on my rundown here of Reds news. I got a couple other ones other than that. But, yeah, Reds called up Mike Ciani and Nick Martini. Fairchild placed on the concussion IL. We expected that. And then Henry Ramos DFA'd. The fact that Senzel's not, he's eligible. The fact that he's not one of those two it is pretty telling. The way the Reds worded it made it sound like they were sending him down, kind of like I said, because there wasn't a lefty coming up, get him some at-bats and bring him back up. I wonder if he didn't take that news very well. He didn't take that, like that kind of seems like maybe reading between the lines, like they said, hey, this is what we're doing, and he didn't like that. I mean, there has to be something more there because I just don't. I mean, these are two guys that, with all due respect, I mean, Mike Ciani can provide some significant defensive value. I get if you're not going to Senzel, I get the Nick Martini move. Like, he's actually hit worse than Henry Ramos this year, but he has a little bit more experience. Probably is going to have some better at-bats, those kind of things. Maybe you can catch lightning in a bottle. Ramos clearly wasn't cutting it, but Senzel should be ahead of those guys on the depth chart. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at this point, it's we're arguing over kind of a pretty bad situation. It's I'm not going to get overly concerned about who we bring up at this point. It's like, yeah, we're not picking from the cream of the crop. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not picking from the cream of the crop, I'm not going to sit here and make too big of a fuss about it. The one thing I do want to discuss. I listen, I know that I've been on the Votto situation since we've started this thing. I've said I've been concerned about Votto. I said it from the very get-go that Joey Votto is 39 years old. He's coming off of major surgery. If you guys don't want to listen to me and you want to act like he's going to come back and be the same guy he's always been, then so be it. And you know what? By God, you look like you were right at the beginning. You look like you were right. And the only thing I'll say now, and the reason that I'm not screaming and yelling about Joey Votto not playing and being benched and all these different things, is this. Joey Votto has nothing to do with his previous success with this franchise. It has nothing to do with the legacy. It has everything to do with the fact that we're thin right now. Who's left? Who's going to take Joey Votto's spot right now that you think is like a huge upgrade for sure? And on top of that, are they going to be able to play, I guess in general terms, are they going to be able to play first base relatively successfully? And is CES the guy that you're going to pencil in every single day at first base right now? I guess, but again, some of this has to do with clubhouse too, Nick. Like, I know that people might not want to hear that, but if you're already thin, you don't have a lot of great options already, you're not going to want to bench Joey Votto because of, honestly, like, vibes. That might sound stupid, but I don't know. Who are you going to play over Joey Votto? Like, that's the real question I have. And you know how I've been about Joey. I've been semi-critical of him because I don't think that he's what he used to be, and I love Joey, but he's just not that guy anymore. But who do you replace him with, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important question. He's been really bad since the All-Star break. There's no way of sugarcoating it. It's been bad, but unless Jake Fraley comes back, which, note on him, he plans to begin a rehab game with AAA Louisville next week. Jim Day said on the broadcast tonight that it only would be a couple games. So, but again, Fraley's playing on a hurt toe, so
is he just going to DH only? Has that been the word yet, or is he acting like he can play right field?
That's what I would think, and that's where you could say, all right, well, if he's DHing only, I think Christian Encarnacion Strand's probably a better option than Joey Votto. But that's pretty much the only way it would make sense to bench him. Because as weird as it sounds to say a 39-year-old has the most upside of any of these other players, Joey Votto still has the most upside because Joey Votto can get hot and hit 3 home runs, or in a couple games. He still has the power that's there. So right now you're going to keep you have to keep playing him. He did make that really great defensive play at first base tonight. So that was a huge play in this game. And maybe he can catch fire before Fraley comes back. But if Fraley comes back and Fraley looks effective, then you might have to have that conversation. But there's no point having it right now because there's absolutely no one that's even worth replacing him right now. Correct.
Yeah, and I mean the other person that's I don't know. I mean, what a wild time we found ourselves in. Jonathan India is another guy where I don't know what's left with him. I mean, it's hard to figure out what that situation is going to look like. He's pissed off at the medical staff about the way they handled his injury, and now he's in a position where, quite honestly, he's probably got some people in his ear that are like, hey, you need to make sure you're 100% healthy before you go back out there. We can't have you going into next year with a physical problem. And by physical, I mean like legitimately getting traded somewhere and having to do a physical, and you get a doctor from another team that says, no, this was never treated right, or this doesn't look right, we're not taking it, or we're not taking you. Ah, man. The injury bug hits every team, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. Reds aren't the only team that has problems with injuries. It just definitely kind of stinks that we're in a position now where it feels like, we aren't good enough, in my opinion, to make the postseason based off what we have right now. Now, again, we won today. Don't let me be the guy that's bringing us down, but it's just like we need some guys back. Jake Fraley has to come back, or Jonathan India has to come back. If those two guys don't come back, then we need Joey Votto. We have to have him. He's got to play. I'm not saying he has to play unbelievable, but he's just got to play better. So now, that's just where we're at. I don't know how else to tell you. I don't know how else to tell it to the chat. We either need to get healthy or we need guys to start playing a little bit better, because winning the games that we won like tonight aren't going to happen all that often. The Angels gave us one. Is that fair in saying the Angels gave us one? Because that's how I feel about it. No?
Yeah, but we deserved it. We had some games. No, I mean, the Reds did. The Reds lost some games over the last couple weeks that were gross losses. They had a game that their bullpen blew it, which against the Marlins. I mean, the bullpen's been incredible all year. It has pitched really well in so many other games. And so, yeah, I mean, I think the Reds deserve to win like this with kind of the way things have been going. But yeah, I mean, but they also, they took advantage, and then Graham Ashcraft absolutely shoved, and the bullpen shoved as well to secure the win. So yeah, I mean, the Angels let the Reds back in the game, but then once the Reds got it, I mean, Reds held the Angels to 3 runs for quite a while. What did the Angels not score a run the last 5 innings of this game? I mean, that's in their home ballpark. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's a good offensive team. It's not a good team, but that's a good offensive team.
I'd venture to say they're a decent team. I mean, the Angels are a decent team. All right, we got Reds MLB. So let's get into that, and then obviously we'll get into the starters as we always do after we have some Reds MLB. Nick, take us around the farm.
All right. AAA Louisville, they lost 24-10 to Toledo tonight. Louisville bats 63-56 on the season. A lot of players in action, so I'll run through them as quickly as I can. Jose Barrero, 2 for 5, hit a home run, his 11th at AAA. This is a guy that maybe we need to start a conversation about coming back up. A home run, 104.9 off the bat, 412 feet. Also hit a triple over 100 off the bat, and that was against Spencer Turnbull, which the reason that's important, if you don't know who that is, he's a major league pitcher, pitched really, really well last year. He's on a rehab start. So good day for Jose Barrero. Kirk Casale, 1 for 5, had 2 balls, hit over 100 miles an hour. Nick Senzel, 1 for 5, single at 104. That was also off Spencer Turnbull. Senzel also stole his 4th base already down at AAA. Justin Dunn made his first appearance with AAA, coming back from his rehab assignment. He pitched 2 previous times with the Arizona Complex League, gave up 1 run in an inning. TJ Antone, he pitched a scoreless inning, and he's gone 3 consecutive scoreless innings without allowing a run. To the bad, Levi Stout got rocked, 7 runs over 2 innings, really having a bad year. Casey Legumina also had a rough one, only got 1 batter out, gave up 3 runs. But I'll leave you with a positive. Jason Vossler hit his 14th home run, and it went 437 feet. All right, Chattanooga AA, they won 8-2 over Tennessee. Lookout 63-51 on the season. Reese Hines, 2 for 5, hit his 21st home run. Blake Dunn, 1 for 4 with a walk. Stolen base, his 46th stolen base of the year. And then Carson Spires, guy kind of climbing up on the conversation among Reds pitchers, pitched 5 innings, saw 2 runs, struck out 9. The Dayton Dragons, they won 5-4 tonight. The Lansing Lugnuts, their center fielder, dropped a fly ball with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th. They were up a run to allow 2 runs to score. So the Dragons win. They improved to 59-56 in the season. This was important for the Dragons. They're now 3.5 out of first place in the Midwest League East Division second half race. Edwin Arroyo, 1 for 4 with a walk. Carlos Jorge, 1 for 5. Sal Stewart, 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. And then last but not least, Daytona. They had a tough one. They lost 7-1. Now 50-62 on the year, but some good performances. Cam Collier, he was on base 4 times tonight. Also stole his 4th bag. Collier hitting .387 with an OPS over 1,000 in August. Victor Acosta, 2 for 3 with a double. Hector Rodriguez, 1 for 4, stole his 18th bag of the season.
We got some guys. We still got some guys down there now. I mean, we got a lot of guys that have come to the big league, so that farm pool that we've been talking about all year is not as plethora because they're all headed to the big leagues. But Cam Collier is a guy that I'm excited about, man. I'm glad we didn't trade him for Giolito.
Shout out Conrad in the chat, said Carlos Jorge had a homer robbed, and Arroyo also almost went deep as well, back-to-back. I did not see that. Try to pay attention as much as I can, but thank you, Conrad, for shouting that out. That's good information.
That is good information. Let's do the who, what, when, where, and why before we get into some other stuff in the chat.
All right, so we got a doubleheader. Game 1, Andrew Abbott against Shohei Ohtani. Get you popcorn ready, 4:07 p.m. Eastern. Ohtani, his last 3 starts, has not allowed a run. That's 19 innings pitched, 7 hits, no runs. He is currently 35 and a third innings away from his career high. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani has been great. Hopefully, maybe he'll start wearing down tomorrow. Hopefully, the guy that's not going to wear down is Andrew Abbott. He's having a great year. 2.99 ERA, 0 walks and 14 strikeouts in his last 2 starts. So that's really good. And he has dominated left-handed batters this year. Left-handed batters hitting 155 with an OPS below 400 against Andrew Abbott. And then in game 2, I believe it's going to be Leon Richardson. Reds have not officially announced the starting pitcher. I think the Reds are going with Leon Richardson. Obviously has incredible stuff. Also worth noting, Richardson got up to 81 and 74 pitches in his last 2 starts at AAA. So he could probably maybe go a little bit longer than we had thought that first time, assuming he's starting. And then for the Angels, it'll be Reed Detmers. He's coming off an incredible start against the Rangers, just allowed 1 hit, took a no-hitter into the 8th inning in that game. He also threw a no-hitter and had an immaculate inning last year. This is a 10th overall pick in 2020. Guy that's incredibly talented, but he's just been incredibly inconsistent this year. Best example, he threw 7 shutout innings against the Dodgers on June 20th and then gave 7 earned runs against the Dodgers in July. So an inconsistent pitcher. Hopefully he is on the inconsistent side tomorrow. He's coming off a great start, so he's due to get shelled.
Good. Let's just hope he's bad. Really, really bad. One more thing I'd like to point out here that I would do if I was David Bell, but of course I'm not David Bell, so he probably won't do this. I would pitch reverse. I'd throw out Lyon Richardson tomorrow against Ohtani. See how that goes. Maybe it goes well for you. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you win a game. But I'm winning the series tomorrow. If you can win the series tomorrow, you feel good about it no matter what. I would hate for them to lose some close 1-run game against Ohtani, and then they play the second game and somehow things were to go wild. I know that people might say that's crazy talk, blah, blah, blah. You're facing Ohtani, arguably one of the best pitchers of all time, one of the best players of all time. I would rather just say, hey, you know what? I think that we're going to probably 100% win. I know that's not a guarantee, but I like our chances if Andrew Abbott throws in that second game. Seems like something I would do personally, but maybe we won't. I don't know. That's how I would do it, but go ahead.
One thing I remember seeing this, and so I just checked it. Andrew Abbott does have better numbers in daytime starts. So there might be something about his deceptiveness at a during the day that they like. So I'm not saying that's the absolute reason to do it, but that could just come into play. Just kind of
right
figuring out why they would go that way. I agree in general. I think I would go. You're playing with house money against Ohtani. Start Andrew Abbott in game 2. Ohtani may not play in game 2. I know he played both doubleheaders in the last game, but I would think the Angels at some point are going to be worried about Shohei Ohtani's health. They don't seem to give a damn about anything right now. No. But I would think there might be a chance Abbott could be facing a lineup without Ohtani in game 2. So that could also come into factor. Man, you could have Ohtani go out and, have a chance to really be able to dominate an Angels lineup that's not really good against lefties either.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I just know that this offense right now for the Cincinnati Reds does not look all that great, if we're being honest. They're striking out a significant amount. Shohei Ohtani, let's hope he has a bad day tomorrow. We'll see where it goes, but I would venture to say that he won't have a bad day, and I'd like to make sure that my ace, Andrew Abbott, is not he's not on the bad side of a great outing. That's what I would. 2-1. 2-0 would be disgusting for the Cincinnati Reds if that's the way that it goes down. But maybe we win 2-0. I'll try to be positive here. People said I'd be negative. Michael saying, you need some more energy. I can't scream and yell because my kids are sleeping, and if I wake my kids up, I'm going to be in trouble. But by God, it's 1 a.m. I don't give a damn. I'll get loud if you need me to. You want me to get excited, Mike? I'll get excited. We got a Nicolas Cage pillow, and we got a dunk. And by dunk, I mean light
soft
dunk.
layup.
Nick on Nick crime. It's coming right up.
Our kids are back in school, man. We got to really be on it.
Kids are back in school. Your boy here has to host a show. He has no idea what he's going to talk about tomorrow in like 9 hours.
Well, thank God he got the Cincinnati Reds W to talk about.
Yeah, well, we do have that. Nick Cage, that's looking good. It's looking really, really good. Love the throw. That's the big league throw right there. You've perfected that thing. It just like takes one bounce off your couch and then goes straight right.
I might have hit the cat, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cats, I got a cat running around here somewhere. All right, here's the deal, guys. Listen, I know you think, oh, Trace, he's being pessimistic. He's being not exciting, blah, blah, blah. It's 1 a.m. No excuses. You know what? I say no excuses for the players, no excuses for us. We got to show up. We got to do a good job. The truth is this. We are still, I got to remind everybody, we're still in the thick of it. We're still in the thick of it. Tomorrow, we need a split. Just one game. Don't get greedy. You don't need to be greedy. Just need one. Just one. That's it. If we take two, your boy's going to be on another level, though. Your boy's going to be on another level tomorrow. We take 2 tomorrow, and I'm going to say some crazy stuff. Kid show. I know it's late night Reds, but still a kid show.
We edit this out of the podcast. Let it fly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going full-fledged earmuffs. I'll go fucking crazy tomorrow if the Reds win 2 games. Straight up. You will see a different side of Trace Fowler if we win 2 games tomorrow. Win 1 though, I'm gonna be happy. Win 1, we're still in it. Lose 2, we're not gonna talk about losing 2. We don't need to lose 2. All right, I have a dunk to do. Nick's gonna clear the graphics. I'm gonna dunk the basketball. You guys are gonna get out of here. We're all gonna go to bed. Nick has one thing he wants to say before I dunk.
And we're going live after game 2 tomorrow, right? We will not be going live after game 1, just after game 2. So plan your evenings accordingly, folks.
That's right. Make sure that you know exactly what time we're going live and cancel all of your plans. That's what we expect for you to do on this show. Right? Cue the outro. There it goes. The outro has been cued. Time for me to dunk a basketball. The fact that we have 240, 250, 260, 275 people watching the show at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's a dumb show, but even a dumber team, if we're being honest. What a dumb team this is that we love. They're going to be good, really good eventually. I mean, when I say they're going to be good, they're going to be great. This franchise is right. Hotter than the sun. Let me tell you something. Put just some sunscreen on this week because it's going to get hot and it's going to be sunny.